The second disciple is a disciple of the Shankara.
Mhm.
So we know that the original Shankara is called Adi Shankara. He founded the Advaita Vedanta school of Hinduism, which is now very popular for its non-dual approach. And the Shankara founded 5 monasteries in India, one in the north, one in the south, one in the east, one in the west, and one in the center. And these monasteries were meant to perpetuate and keep alive and transmit the Hindu spiritual tradition. And the southernmost monastery is called in Kanchipuram. That's the name of the city. So the sage of Kanchipuram is the 66th linear head. So that means if you go back 66 Shankaras, you come to the Adi Shankara, the founder.
Mhm.
So PB meets a disciple of the Shankara, and this guy wants PB to meet the Shankara, and PB says yes. And by luck or fate, the Shankara is actually nearby because he walks around India and he visits all the villages along the way. And he stops in each village and provides for the religious needs of the villagers. He's kind of like the Pope, if we think of it that way. So PB accepts the invitation to meet Shankara, but the friend tells him it's very possible he won't see you because he's never.
And this friend is so close to.
Is very close to
to
Shankara. He's a
Shankara.
close disciple.
Mhm.
He says it's very possible that he won't see you because he's never seen a Westerner
Mhm.
before.
Yeah. And he.
So PB
what
says,
happened?
okay, I'll take a
Mhm.
chance. He says, with all my Western education and intellectual outlook, I am still simple enough to believe with Eastern people that it is worthwhile making a journey to get the blessing of a superior
Mhm.
person.
And Shankara saw PB?
So first Shankara says, no way, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. I don't know what he says. He says, I don't see you white guys.
He never saw a white guy before, correct? He
Right.
never had an interview with somebody from Western.
Right, and maybe that wasn't why he said no, but
no, possible not,
he said,
but he
I'm
never.
too busy. But the disciple is very determined to convince Shankara to see PB. So because this person is close to Shankara and because Shankara respects him, Shankara says, okay, I'll do it. So PB has an interview with Shankara. And Shankara explains, he says, why am I walking around on foot? He says, the tradition of my office requires that I stay in every village or town which I pass on the route or which invites me, if it is not too far off. I must give a spiritual discourse in the local temple and some teaching to its inhabitants. And Shankara lived to be almost 100, so he did this for many, many years. And it turns out in the course of his lifetime, he lived longer than PB.
99 years old.
He died when he was 99. He walked from the headwaters to the delta of the Ganges. That means from the Himalayas to the ocean. 7 times back and forth walking. And he circumambulated, went around the entire circumference of India 3 times with many stops at small villages. He had a cart, a wagon on wheels that followed him carrying, whatever he needed to bring with him. Although he walked, he didn't go in the cart. The cart that accompanied him had solid rubber tires, which were worn down to the wood several times during his wandering. So Shankara is really an unusual person. And finally, PB's friend says, His Holiness will make a special exception in your case. He will see you in about 1 hour. PB said in 1966, they were writing an honorary volume about the 75th birthday of Shankara, and they asked PB to write something, and PB said, there is no doubt in my mind that he is a sanctified being, a channel for higher spiritual forces. At the same time, he is an upholder of religious values, which it would be regrettable for India to lose under the pressure of modern life with its industrialism and materialism. Listen, PB says, I bow in homage to him with affection and respect. And this is something that PB saw throughout India, that India was in danger of losing its sacred knowledge and traditions. And the role of people like Shankara were very, very important in preserving them. Mm-hmm. So PB says in the notebooks, some of His Holiness's teachings and sermons have been translated into English. His explanations throw fresh light on several details of Hinduism. He patiently goes through point after point to reveal the rational side to the modern minds. Like PB, he's adapting the truth to the modern mentality, but he's faithful to the truth. But all these are secondary compared with His Holiness's own person. He exhibits in himself the qualities of a knower of Brahman, the attributes of a holy rishi.
He really was some kind of rishi, right?
And that's the highest compliment you could pay in India, because the rishis are the ones who revealed the Upanishads.
And they have similarity, him and Dalai Lama.
Yes, we'll talk about that. They're both sages who inhabit a religious position. Mm-hmm. So PB says, those who come into his presence suitably prepared by previous aspiration or faith, remember the long path is necessary. Those who come into his presence suitably prepared may feel his power, even see his light, and experience his grace. Hinduism has been misunderstood by many Westerners. The knowledge of His Holiness can correct their views so that they can see why it has survived so long. And there are some books in English of the Shankaracharya's teachings translated into English that probably are available from Indian publishers. So, Grant, what did you say about the Dalai Lama?
Since that him and Dalai Lama, they have some similarity in their lives, in the expression of their lives.
And then in their spiritual tasks. So PB says in the notebooks, no universal rule can be laid down for the illumined person to follow in the matter of relationship to religion into which they were born. He or she may adhere to it, observe all its rites, and fulfill all its requirements quite faithfully, or he or she may anarchically reject all allegiance to it. If the sage follows the first alternative, to be religious and follow it, it will most probably be because of the need to set an example to those who still need the support of such outward and visible institutionalism and such fixed forms and dogmas.
Yeah, because both are sages, correct? And they are also the head of these religious institutions.
So they're sages inside of a religion.
Yeah.
Another great example is Anandamayi Ma, who we have great reverence for. PB considered her a sage and a yani, but she was another upholder of religious traditions and rites. And what's interesting about Anandamayi, a lot of times the religions deviate from their essence and they develop beliefs that aren't true. So for instance, in India, it was always believed that only men could be monks. So Anandamayi started initiating female nuns and people got really upset with her. But she had some disciples who were like really serious scholars of Hinduism. Actually, one of them was named Gopinath Kaviraj, who was another colleague of PB's and who appears in The Search and Secret in the book, but his name isn't mentioned. So Anandamayi would go to Gopinath Kaviraj and say, could you tell us what the Upanishads say about women monks? And he would go dig it out and show that it was legitimate, that the people who said you couldn't do it were wrong. So she's another one that is great. We recommend her to you. So PB says, the sage in him or herself is non-sectarian, yet his people's need or his personal destiny or both may make him or her active on behalf of religious sects. So we have three examples, the Shankaracharya.
Not because he needs, but for, do as example for the people.